Okay, here we go. Section 2C. We're going to talk about literal equations and formulas. This might be a new term for you, the term literal equation. Um, but basically, a literal equation is an equation that has more than one variable. So you're used to equations that might have the same variable a couple times in the equation, maybe on both sides of the equal sign, but it's the same variable. These equations have different variables. And good example of these type of literal equations are formulas. You guys have been working with formulas ever since you were a little bitty. And so it makes sense that you're used to seeing like area is length times width. Well, there's three variables in that equation. It's a formula because it's even a more specific kind of equation that indicates how to calculate something. It's a rule that always works. The Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Y'all, even if you haven't used it, you've probably heard of it, where a and b are the legs of a triangle, a right triangle, and c is the hypotenuse. So those are formulas that are literal equations, but you can also write literal equations that are not formulas, and you could be asked to solve for a single variable. So basically, that's what we're going to be doing in this section. You're going to be given a literal equation, and it's going to have a number of variables in it, and you're going to be asked to isolate just one of the variables. So basically, it would make sense that the steps in doing that is that you get all of the terms that are the variable that you want on one side of the equal sign, and you systematically start getting rid of everything else to the other side of the equal sign. We're going to use the same steps we did in solving 1 and 2 steps equations. We're going to add and subtract before we multiply and divide. So here's an example, example 1. Again, this is doesn't give you a whole lot of room to write, but do the best you can or get another piece of paper. So it says solve this equation for m. This is really important because you don't know, without them telling you which variable they want by itself, you don't know whether m or n is the one that you're going to isolate. But we've got to concentrate on m. We want this guy all by himself, which means we need to get rid of the minus 5n, and we need to get rid of this 2. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to use the same rules we used in the last section. So we are going to add 5n to both sides. Can't just add 5. You got to add 5 n's to both sides. Now, I am not doing a good job of writing well with this pen. I'll get better, or I'll find something else to do these videos. Anyway, you're going to add 5n to this side. You cannot add a 4, which is a constant, a number, and a variable term. You don't have 9 of anything. You have 4 plus 5n. That's what you have on that side of the equal sign. Over here, you have 2m. Last step, to get rid of the 2 that's attached to the m by multiplication, we're going to do the inverse operation, which is division, and you are going to divide this entire term on the left-hand side by 2 also. And that is your answer. M is equal to this guy, right here, 4 plus 5m, all of it divided by 2. Sometimes when you're solving these literal equations, the side that does not have your variable gets real messy looking, and that doesn't matter. We don't care how messy that side is. We just care about getting the variable isolated that we've been asked to. Here's the second part of this. What are the values of m? When you're given these values of the other variable. So basically, we can make a t-chart, and we can say, okay, the equation is 4 plus 5n divided by 2, and when n is negative 2, we end up with 4, what's that, 4 minus 10, 5 times negative 2 divided by 2, which is minus 6, divided by 2, which is minus 3. That's when n is minus 2. When n is 0, plug it in. 4 plus 0 divided by 2 is 2. So that's 4 plus 0 divided by 2. And now we get m equaling, so this is m equals, I'll put this up here, m equals minus 3 here, m equals 2. When we plug in 0 for n, and then the third one they ask us to do is set n up as a positive 2. And again, we're going to plug it in, and we're going to say 4 plus 5 times positive 2 is 10. All that divided by 2, which is 14, divided by 2, which is 7. So m has these three values. It has minus 3 as the first value, it has positive 2 as the second value, and it has 7. All right, I'm going to do one more of these really quickly, and then we'll end this video. On this very first one, they're asking you to solve for x. So this is the guy we want to get all by himself. First thing we're going to do is subtract r from both sides. That'll get rid of that piece of it. Again, this side gets a little uglier. Now we have minus t minus r equaling px. So that's all fine. Now x is almost alone, but he's got a coefficient. We need to divide by p, and this whole entire left-hand side is also divided by p. And you end up with x equaling minus t minus r divided by p, and you are done. And you look very smart when you solve that kind of equation, because it really doesn't look like it means anything. But it does. Okay, well, we'll end this video for now, and then we'll do more of these, obviously, for practice. Bye-bye.